Welcome back, guys, to episode 5 or 6 or 7. Honestly, I have no idea of our MTG Arena playthrough. As you can see from what's happening on the board, we have in fact finished our gate deck. I'll show you that at the end of the video, do a little quick deck tech. For now, I wanted to get straight into the games and show you how it performs. Kind of get that out of the way right away, show you what I think about it. So let's get started here. More often than not in the early game, all you're trying to do is ramp. I believe there's 8 pieces of ramp, or maybe 7, between the growth spiral and the circuitous route. And then you have about 7 pieces of card draw. You have about 12 creatures that are relevant, and then 7 pieces of board wipe, and then lands. So it's a pretty simple deck. I've found it works fantastic so far, so you may have a different experience, but I absolutely love it. I think it's a lot of fun to play. It's super intuitive. You can draw so many cards, and then once you have a good amount of lands out, you just start chaining together your Gate Colossus and your Hydroid Krasis, and the game just gets insane. It's really, really good. We're definitely going to block here. There's really no reason not to. We don't mind if he kills it. As soon as we play a gate, we can just get it back, so who cares? Rekindling Phoenix and a Siege Gang Commander. Wow. Well, he's not going to get one of those, so that sucks for him. Okay, this draw was insane. We might... We kind of want to wait on that. Or do we? No. The greed in me really wants to wait on this, but it's just not right. There's no reason to wait. Let's just wipe the board. Let's beat him up with a 8/8. Gain a couple life and really put him on the clock. I really wanted to wait and let him play a Phoenix or a Siege Gang Commander and get a ton of... Okay. And just get a ton of cards out of his hand, get like a 5 for 1, but there's no need to. We're already so ahead of this game. He's gonna chump block here probably, and he's just gonna be in a bad place. You got it, fella. I believe we are just going to play another one. And there's no reason to play the Hydroid Crisis here. We'll use this to reload our hand next turn. I just want to get another Gate Colossus down, maximize pressure. So he has to play another creature just to block here. So he has. He's answered me with 2 Rekindling Phoenixes. And we're about to gain a lot of life and win this game. Fantastic. Say goodbye. I will gain 16, you'll die. Sometimes games will go like that, so I'm at 39. Sometimes some weird stuff happens with this deck, and things just line up correctly, and the games are insane, and you just absolutely crush your opponent. But that's one thing I like about this deck, at least for grinding best of ones and ranked over mono blue, is what you're doing just goes over the top of literally everything in the format. So you're going to go longer and stronger than anything anyone else is doing with their deck. And in best of ones, that's great, because if your opponent stumbles just a little bit and gives you the opportunity to get your game plan rolling, it's impossible for you to lose at that point. So I think this deck's really good for best of one just because it's so hard to deal with and to manage. I think we're going to keep here. We have 4 lands in the opener and a growth spiral for a little bit of ramp, and then a couple of our haymaking burly beasts. Let's go ahead and get down. I'm going to start with... I don't think it matters too much. Let's start with the Gruul Guild Gate. Some sort of a green X, or Maybe just green. We will play Simic Guildgate next. Green, black. See, like I was saying, I've never played this matchup, but I imagine that regardless of what he does, the things we're doing just go over the top of what he's doing. So I think we're at a fair advantage here. Drew a little bit of an early game board wipe, that's good. And another growth spiral. Our Gate Colossus will be able to get down as early as next turn if we like. And he's on 2 lands with a Woodland Cemetery in hand. Is he going to get down a Branch Walker, get something? No? Okay. So if we play this Gate, makes this cost 3. If we Growth Spiral, we'll have 2 lands left open, but the Gate Colossus will only cost 2 because we'll have another Guild Gate down, so we're going to do this first. Get this bad boy down, and we will play the Gate. So this is exactly what I was saying before the game started, and it's totally fine he kills it. We're going to get it back as soon as we draw another Gate. But we have an 8/8 down on turn 3 or 4. It's like we're just going above and beyond what our opponent's doing. And we do find out here that he's actually playing Sultai. The jig is up. J-Light Ranger's fine. I think we're going to take this opportunity to wipe the battlefield. He's leaving Hydroid Krasis on top. Okay. I think we might just cast our own Hydroid Krasis, actually. Yeah, it's going to contest everything on the board, so he can't really attack well through it. It's going to draw us a couple of cards, and it kind of baits him into playing more onto the board for us to use all these board wipes effectively. And then we can also just Deafening Clarion to wipe his board and have a lifelinking 4/1 on our turn. But I'm not too worried about these creatures. If he wants to attack and just sacrifice one of them, I'll do that with him. Or if he wants to go out of his way to kill this so he can get in an attack for a couple damage, I'm more than fine with that too. Okay. Plays his own 4/4. Wow. This is so aggressive. That's crazy. That is not worth 2 damage, but Godspeed. I think we want to just... Let's offer up the trade first and see if he wants to take it. He does. Okay. Well, we don't have to board wipe anymore. I think we're just going to play another Gate Colossus and a Gatebreaker Ram. I mean, 5 mana, 2 8/8s. One has Vigilance and Trample. Again, we're just doing things that's way out of the league of anything else that these decks are doing in Standard. So it's hard to contest us, and if he does play anything, even if he plays, say, a Carnage Tyrant here, I mean, we could just board wipe for 6 and still just crush him for 16 damage. It's insanity. Totally fine with that. I'm not really worried about him using removal. These things will all come back, so it is what it is. Okay, we're definitely going to take the opportunity to just board wipe and gain 8. There's not a lot of other things to do with our mana, and we can play another Gatebreaker Ram this turn, so let's do it. He's going to be left with 3 cards in hand. A branch, or a Wild Growth Walker he left on top. Oh, he plays Negate. Wow. Huh. I think I'm fine with that. Maybe I board wipe just so he can't... Yeah. I think I'm going to board wipe here. I'm not scared of his board, but I'm scared of his board plus Llanowar Elves being able to produce a big Hydroid Krasis and drawing him a significant amount of cards to get him back in the game. That's one way he'll be able to keep up with me since I'm not drawing any gates to get back one of my Colossus that's already in the graveyard. I think this way just kind of solidifies the fact that he has to have something in his hand right now that impacts the board or he's going to die. That was a great draw. Put him to 4, player Guildgate, get our Colossus back on top, and we will play another creature so that way we have 2 board threats that kill him this turn. And if he for somehow, some way draws a board wipe, we're drawing a Gate Colossus next turn. So I think there's almost no way he's going to win here. That's not going to be enough. Remember, we've been sitting on this board wipe for, I believe it now does 4, 5, 6, 7. So both of our creatures stay alive and it kills him. So GG. Yep. Again, I can't say it enough. If you're interested in building a deck for best of ones, it's so hard to be beaten once you're able to get your game plan going with this deck. You're just so far above and beyond everything everyone's doing. And it's a really, really fun time. Sweet Adamri. Okay, let's go over the deck a little bit. Let me move my camera so you can see. I'll just move it over here. How's that? That look good? Okay. So, as you can see, it's a lot like what I was saying at the beginning. We have, let's see, 4, 8 ramp, so Growth Spiral and Circuitous Roots, or Root. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but you know what. Circuitous. Circuitous. I'm just going to stop. I sound like an idiot. We have 7 card draw between the Hydroid Krasis and the Guild Summit. I actually cut the 4th Guild Summit to add a Banefire. Guild Summit's incredible, but if I have 2 Guild Summits on the board, I have come very, very close to decking myself because my threats are not being provided fast enough to keep up with the amount of card draw that I'm doing because I have Guild Summits. Which seems kind of crazy, but I think 3 is the perfect place. You usually want to draw 1 a game, but if you don't in certain matchups like mono red, it just doesn't matter. And you don't ever want to draw 2 really, because you're going to be going a bit too fast for your deck and for the amount of mana you'll have available. So that and Hydroid Krasis are a 7 card draw. We have 7 board wipes between Gates of Blaze and Deafening Clarion. You can't skip out on the Deafening Clarion. It has gained me a truckload of life before, as you may have seen earlier when I think I gained 16 off the 2 Gate Colossus. But more than that, it's just a board wipe for early creatures that you can't interact with because you're playing so many come into play tapped lands. You have to have things like this to regain parity on the board. We have 12 threats. Gatebreaker Ram's incredible, Gate Colossus is incredible, and Hydroid Krasis obviously is incredible. Those are our 12 main threats. These ones can be rebought, which is why we're able to skimp out and only have 12 total. I think if I were to make a sideboard for this deck, I may consider maybe perhaps some Planeswalkers to aid in our threat. Because if you've run into a control deck that easily manages to control the Krasis and the Rams, you're basically just on the plan of play a gate, get a Colossus back on top every turn, which is not always going to be fast enough. By the way, if you're interested in this list, I did get it from Paulo Vitor Adamo da Rosa's article on Channel Fireball. You just type in Gates Channel Fireball deck and you'll find it. It's basically card for card. There are like 1 or 2 differences just based on what I had in here. Knight of Autumn, like he said in his article and I'll say here, is great in best of 1 matchups because it can do everything. In mono red it can gain life. In the mono blue matchup it can get rid of Curious Obsession. Against green X decks, you can just put counters on it and make it a big threat. And then against random control decks, you can hit a Search for Escanta, you can hit, one of their Oblivion Rain effects, something like that. So it plays a bevy of roles in this deck and can do a multitude of things based on what we need in the current situation. And then finally, we just have one Banefire. So, as I said earlier, I cut the 4th Guild Summit for this. You don't want to draw it very often, but in matchups that go long where you do have a Guild Summit out, you're playing a control matchup, and you just can't get your 12 threats through. They've dealt with your Rams and your Hydra Krasis, and it's like basically you're on the plan of 1-8-8 a turn, and if they're drawing too many cards or if they have a Teferi, you're just not going to be able to end the game. And drawing a Banefire feels so good, and I've done it once already, where they have totally taken control of the game. It's like turn 20, and you have like 16 lands in play, and you just fireball them for like 15, and there's nothing they can do, and they concede immediately. It's pretty funny. But this is the kind of card that almost guarantees the really bad matchup, which is, I would say, is complete control. I would even consider adding a second. Oh my god, what? I swear to god, I just saw a ghost. Wow. I'm sorry guys, that was weird. I just saw something like walk past my doorway, like out of the corner of my eye. That was weird. Anyways, sorry. The Banefire, fantastic in control matchups. It would be considered the 13th threat. It does everything you want it to. And finally, the mana base is pretty simplistic. A ton of gates. A few come into play untapped lands like the forests, the breeding pool, and the sacred foundry, just in case you want to interact with something and you don't. On turn 3, if you need to wipe the board, but all you have is 3 coming into play guild gates in your hand, it's going to be so hard to come back into that game because you just can't keep up with what they're doing. So it's important to have just a few things at certain turns, like 3 and 4, where you need to be ramping or you need to be doing something proactive, to have just a couple come into play on tapped lands. And finally, Plaza of Harmony has saved me in quite a few mono red games. It's been fantastic at getting me to the point where I can stabilize just for a turn, and then I can turn just for a turn, so I can then turn the outcome of the game. But that's it, guys. This is the Gate deck. It's been amazing so far. I think my record with it's probably like maybe 8-2 or something like that. I haven't played a ton of games with it, but I have been climbing. It's been a ton of fun, and it's something I can highly recommend to you guys. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. That wasn't... Damn it! One of the viewers gave me an idea to blow a huge vape cloud into the camera and then disappear in a smoke bomb, but obviously that wasn't very cool. So, you guys stay there. One more shot.